Now you want your cilantro. Do it fresh, because you can do your dried cilantro, but when you got fresh cilantro, it's so much better. And to make it easier, you don't really want your stems, so just kind of slide your knife to kind of cut off those leaves. And then that's all you have to do. And again, you want to avoid your stems if at all possible. And then that way you got your fresh cilantro to give you your fresh taste. And then discard your stems and stuff. Okay, then what you're going to want to do, put your cilantro all in a bunch, and you want to cut real finely. What you want to make sure, you got to remember the back of the knife right here is your most important piece. So you just want to go back and forth to finely chop it. If you do have a food processor, go ahead and use a food processor, but make sure you put a little olive oil in there so it don't dry up. And olive oil is also a preservative, if you guys didn't know this. So anyway, we chop this up fairly fine. It doesn't have to be like super fine, but then you just get it about this fine, which is about like this. So it's kind of fine, it's not big chunks. Scrape your knife off. So now we're adding our cilantro. So just scrape the back of the knife, not the front, that way you don't ruin your knife, and get all that fine cilantro in our dish. And then what you're going to want to do is stir that up, and then prepare to open up your cans. And once you stir this up, it gives it a nice little coating of our cilantro on all our vegetables. These are the cans that we're going to use to make it simple. Going to use 2 cans of tomatoes. These have jalapeno peppers in them, but regular is fine. I just prefer a little spice. Lima beans, 1 can of pinto beans, 1 can of black beans. You do want to rinse all your beans out in a colander. That way you don't have all those juices in there. These are our vegetables, sauteed. Now what we're going to do, if you can see the onions and stuff already pretty good, you don't want them all the way cooked because they're going to cook in our juices. On the can of lima beans, you don't really have to drain because it's just water basically. And so you just put them in your pot of vegetables. Take your cans of tomatoes, put them in. Then you want to mix that up with all your vegetables. And then what we're going to do is finish opening the cans of the beans and rinsing them, of the black beans and the pinto beans. Then we're going to throw them in. You mix that up real good. Then we're going to throw the beans in. I just poured these beans into my colander, and I just rinsed them so they're nice and clean. So now you want to put them into your pot. Then you want to stir that all up. So now you got a lot of color. You got your beans for your protein. So you got 3 different kinds of beans, so 3 different kinds of protein. You have all your colors. And so now what this is going to look like is this. And then what we're going to do is add a little water, but first we add our spices. These are pretty much what spices I like to use. I'm going to use a little garlic, going to use a little sea salt, and you want sea salt instead of isodile salt, much healthier and much more flavorful. Then we got a little basil, going to put in some ground paprika, grind up a little white corn pepper, could be black pepper, doesn't matter on that. And then we're going to put in some oregano. Then we're going to put in a little chili powder and a little cumin. Cumin's a very important part in chili. So now we're going to add some cumin, just about a pinch and a half maybe, so maybe about a teaspoon. And then you're going to be putting in your chili powder. And again, remember your chili powder is kind of the most important, but you do not want to make it to where it's overpowerful in. So now you got your chili powder. You just want to do a good sprinkle, so that might be about a tablespoon. I'm sorry I don't use measuring cups because I'm a chef and I've been cooking for too many years to be using my my measuring. I just eyeball everything. So here we got oregano. You just want, again, about a teaspoon. And you want to grind up some pepper. This is organic white peppercorn, but you can use regular black pepper. But if you use the grinder, that's going to be your best bet, because then it's freshly grounded and you're going to have more of a flavor there. So again, about a teaspoon. And then you're going to be putting in a paprika. You want, I don't know, I'd say about a tablespoon. And then a basil. You're going to want a little bit of basil, about a teaspoon. And we're going to add a little bit of your salt, but you got to remember your tomatoes have salt. So be very careful. It's always wise to underspice than overspice, because you can't take spices out. So be very careful on your salt content. And remember, salt retains water, but don't worry about that. Okay, now we've got a little bit of garlic. You can use fresh, which if you have that kind of time, please use fresh. Otherwise, just use about a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then what you're going to want to do is mix it. Now we're going to add our water. You're going to want to add about a cup, which is about 8 ounces. It might look like a lot of water, but you got to reduce down. So what you're going to want to do is turn your oven up, turn your stove up a little bit, and you do want to cover it to let it simmer. And then what you're going to want to do, put it on high, get it boiling, and then what you're going to want to do is cover it and put it on a lower heat. That way it reduces down its water contents and flavors in the whole chili. The chili is now done. So your final product will look like this, and it will taste terrific, I think, because the water has reduced, and so now all that spices and all that flavor and all the nice vegetables are nice and tender, and you're going to enjoy it. And please do, and comment me on my blog when you taste it and let me know how it tastes.